Hi everyone. I don't know why I'm recording this. Maybe because there's no one else left to talk to. And because I need to tell someone before it all ends for good. My name is Alexei. I'm 32, and 6 months ago I bought my first apartment, an old Stalin-era building in the city center with thick walls and high ceilings. I was so happy. After years of renting tiny flats with bad plumbing and worse neighbors, this was my fortress. The first weeks were heaven, silence, peace. But then that silence became too loud. It started small, a tapping sound, soft, random knocks somewhere inside the wall between the bedroom and the living room. Not like pipes, more like someone knocking with their knuckles, absent-mindedly. I blamed the building, the wiring, maybe rats, though there shouldn't be any in a place like this. I ignored it. Then came the smell. Sweet, cloying, old dust and damp earth. It would appear at night in the hallway. I cleaned every vent, checked every corner. Nothing. The smell came and went as it pleased, but the worst was the whisper. I first heard it late at night while working on a project. At first I thought it was noise from the open window, but the windows were shut. It was a voice, a quiet, barely audible woman's voice, coming from that same wall, the one with the knocks. I couldn't make out words. It was just a stream of white whispering, like radio static, but with rhythm, with intention, as if someone was telling a story from inside the concrete. I thought I was losing my mind. I called a plumber friend. We opened up part of the cabinet, looked inside the niche. Nothing. Old wiring, dust, no sign of life. The neighbors were elderly, harmless, no chance of them playing tricks. The whisper grew stronger. I started waking up to it. It followed me, even in daylight, when I was alone. I began to answer. At first just, "Who's there?" The whisper would stop for hours, then come back, louder. One night, desperate, I pressed my ear to the wall, and I heard one word, clear as a bell. Help. Cold ran down my spine. It was real, not in my head. I became obsessed. I bought a recorder and began taping the sounds. I'd sit for hours listening to the wall. If I boosted the audio, the whisper was there, and also scratching, like something metal dragging across brick. I researched the building's history. In the 1950s, a woman had vanished from one of the apartments, the wife of an architect who helped design this block. She was never found. Some said he was jealous, that he sealed her away. I convinced myself that was who I was hearing, her spirit, begging for release. I decided to help her. One night, when the whisper grew especially desperate, I couldn't take it anymore. I grabbed my power drill. I didn't think about repairs or sanity. I just needed to set her free. I pressed the drill against the wall and turned it on. The whole room vibrated, dust everywhere. I drilled for minutes until suddenly the bit sank into empty space. My heart pounded. I broke away the plaster with my hands. Behind it was a hollow cavity. The smell hit me. Wet earth, rot, so strong I nearly blacked out. I shone my phone flashlight inside and saw not bones, not remains. A tunnel, narrow like a crawl space, leading deeper into the wall. Its surface was smooth, almost polished, covered in strange, shiny, slimy threads, like mold, but alive. And from the darkness, dozens, no, hundreds of tiny black eyes stared back at me. They belonged to pale, blind, centipede-like creatures, each the size of a hand. They squirmed, moved together, and from that writhing mass came the whisper. It wasn't one voice, it was thousands, clicking and hissing in perfect unison. I stumbled back, terrified. It wasn't a ghost, it was something else, something real. And then, the whisper changed. It became clear, articulate. Many voices speaking as one. "Thank you," they said. "We've waited so long." Warmth, light, food. One of them detached from the cluster and crawled toward me. It was faster than I expected. It ran up my arm, and where it touched, my skin blistered red hot. "Ah!" I screamed and flung it away, but it was too late. The tunnel erupted. They poured out in a living wave over the floor, walls, ceiling. The whisper became a roar. Food, food, food. I bolted, slammed the door, called emergency services, fire, police, sanitation. They came, looked, but when they entered the apartment, nothing. No hole, no creatures, just... I bolted, slammed the door, called emergency services, fire, police, sanitation. They came, looked, but when they entered the apartment, nothing. No hole, no creatures, just dust and plaster. They thought I'd had a breakdown, that I'd drilled through my wall during a psychotic episode. I tried explaining the whisper, the tunnel, everything. They looked at me with pity, kept me in the hospital for a week. Sedatives, observation. Diagnosis? Acute anxiety disorder with paranoid delusions. When I came back, no knocking, no smell, no whisper. Silence. Perfect, precious silence. I almost believed it had all been in my head. Almost. Weeks passed. I started feeling normal again. Yesterday, I dropped a fork while washing dishes. It rolled under the fridge. I reached under to grab it, but I didn't find the fork. I touched something soft, warm, beating. I yanked my hand back, and there, clinging to my finger just beneath the nail, was one of those pale creatures. It was attached to me, sucking through some kind of proboscis. I crushed it. Black fluid splattered. But that wasn't the worst part. The moment I killed it, something clicked in my head. I heard them. Not with my ears, inside. A faint, panicked squealing under the fridge. Then another. Then more. And suddenly, I understood them. They weren't saying food. That was my mind's translation, the only way I could interpret it. They weren't trying to eat me. They were settling, looking for a home. And I was part of that home. Their bite, their touch. It wasn't an attack. It was a connection, a symbiosis. Now I'm sitting here, recording this, and I can hear them, all of them, whispering through the vents, crawling behind the wallpaper. I feel their thoughts, alien, simple, calm. They're not evil, just different. And they're part of me now, literally. They're changing something inside me. It doesn't hurt. It just feels new. My fears, my anxiety, they're gone, eaten away. All that's left is quiet, peace, their peace. So maybe this is the end of my story, or the beginning of a new one. I don't know. But I do know this. I'm not alone anymore. And you know what? I'm starting to like it. They're asking me to turn off the recorder. They don't like the vibration. So, goodbye. And if someday you hear a whisper in your walls, don't be afraid. Maybe they just want to say hello.